and welcome to Smaulgld's Russian Central Bank monthly gold additions to its reserves for the month of October 2016. The Russian Central Bank added a record 1.3 million ounces of gold to reserves in October. The Central Bank of Russia added 1.3 million ounces, or the equivalent of 40.44 tons of gold, to her reserves in October. This was the largest gold addition that Russia made to her reserves since 1998. Now, from January 2016 to October 2016, Russia has added over 165 tons of gold to reserves. October's gold addition brings Russia's gold holdings to 1,583 tons, the sixth most of any nation. Russian Central Bank. The Russian Central Bank has added 70% more gold to her reserves than the People's Bank of China has added to her reserves over the past 12 months. Overall Russian reserves, however, fell from 397.7 billion in September to 390 billion in October. Interesting that the Russian Central Bank managed to add 40 tons of gold while lowering their overall reserves, and we'll see where those reserve reductions came from as we go on further. I would like to invite you to subscribe to this Smaulgld.com website. You can do so by just putting your email address in there. The reason I suggest you do subscribe to Smaulgld because it's free, but not just that, but because it's a way of staying in touch. If indeed the YouTube channel is ever taken down, I can always do Vimeos, I can keep in touch, and I can continue to do report without having to worry about Google or YouTube. Let's get back to the Russian report. Here I've listed the month-by-month totals. You can see them on the chart. But the real big news here is that Russia added 1.3 million ounces of gold, or over 40 tons of gold, in October. And there's a nice looking chart. You can see that on the website a little better. And now here you can see the record 1.3 million ounces added to reserves in October 2016. You can go back and take a look at the additions from June 2014 to October 2016 at this chart. So Russia's added 16.2 million ounces of gold, or about 504 tons, to its reserves from the period of June 2014 through October 2016. If you're interested in getting your own gold, you can do so through the Smaulgld website. We have affiliate agreements with a number of top gold and silver bullion dealers, and if you do buy through the Smaulgld website, you'll pay no more, no less than you would pay if you went directly to these sites. And also, Smaulgld makes a small commission. So if you appreciate the work that we do here, please help us out. If indeed you are going to buy gold or silver, it's not a recommendation that you do so, but if you were going to or are going to anyway, and you've thought about it and you've made your decision to buy gold or silver, please check out and compare prices and shipping at the sites that are listed on Smaulgld. Now here's what I'm talking about with Russia and China. Now remember, when we say Russia and Chinese gold reserves, we're talking about the central banks of those countries. We're not talking about all the gold that might exist in the countries. However, the Russian Central Bank and the Chinese Central Bank are the number one and number two gold buying nations, and Russia has them beat by a long shot, as you can see in this year over year, October to October monthly chart of gold additions. Red represents Russia. You go to the website, I'll put a link below, you can see it better. But Russia has added about 95 more tons of gold to her reserves than China has during this time period. So the plug here, you can sign up for Smaulgld updates here. Now, what does that mean for gold reserves? Where does that place Russia in the league tables? Well, they're now sixth at 1543. China is fifth at 1839. Again, these are the numbers that the countries report. A lot of people get very angry and they don't believe the numbers. I can only report the numbers that the countries report. I can't make up numbers. I can't constantly bash the numbers. I can only show you the numbers that each country reports. I have written extensively on where China's other gold is if it's not at the central bank of China's. I've talked about the lack of audit at the U.S. Fort Knox. And the point being is these are the numbers. Take them for what you want, but these are the numbers I track. And that's all I can say about the gold reserves. Now, overall, Russian reserves have increased since January. They were at about 371 million. And in October, they were up to 390 million, but they had risen all the way. And you can just follow along here and see how the reserves had grown. They had grown to 397 million, the top high point of 2016, but they fell back a bit in October to 390. And here's a bit why. Now, if you look, here are Russian holdings of U.S. Treasury securities. Now, the U.S. Treasury releases this data. It's kind of delayed, but most recently they released the September data. And as you can see, Russian Treasury holdings are only $76.5 billion of their $390 billion worth of reserves. And they got about $60 billion worth of gold. So their gold reserves are almost now equivalent to their U.S. Treasury holdings. And you can see they used to have a lot more. They've basically almost cut their Treasury holdings in half over the past couple of years. One of the advantages Russia has for gold reserves, it's like China, it is the number 2 or 3 depending on whose data you look at, gold producer in the world, and they have been increasingly adding their gold to reserves, domestic production, putting it into the Russian central bank, and then also they've made some arrangements recently to sell some of that gold to China. That does it for the week. Well, not for the week, it does it for this report. Thank you very much for listening. Again, please subscribe to Smaulgld.com. Also subscribe to this YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter. Thank you very much.